Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm back to celebrating International Scrapbooking Day 2025. So hopefully you've managed to catch part 1. If you haven't, head to the description below and you'll find a link where I've made my International Scrapbooking Day 2025 base album. And this year, again, we're going for a repeating page, but also, again, as I have in the last couple of years, are very cost effective when it comes to papers. But we've got, just from our base pages, lots and lots of flaps and pocket pages too. So if you want to know how to make the base, as I head back to part 1. I said in part 2, I'm going to be making the optional page ideas. So I've got 4 different ideas here. So you can mix and match whatever you want. Stick to one and go all the way through. If you're a beginner, just choose your favourite and repeat all the way. It'll still look nice. And I'm going to be using some Graphic 45 Blossom. So this is an older collection which I've managed to get hold of recently. And it's just absolutely stunning. So I wanted to use it and celebrate this. So let's have a look at the inside. Oh, and the reason I chose Blossom is, for these pages, it does help if you've got vertical 6x4 journal cards. Not essential, but it does make a difference when it comes to decorating. So let's have a look at page 1. So there is also a walkthrough video. So if you want to see what they actually look like, head to the walkthrough video. Again, linked in the description below. So I got my scoreboard. I need to cut to my cardstock first. Okay, so the first idea, I'm going to do a little flip book with a vertical pocket. Now I do have my practice run here, so actually I can show you the blank ones right here. So this is going to be a little flip book for 6x4 photos with a large vertical pocket there. So let's grab some black card. I think I'll need 2 sheets for this. So first of all, my pocket is going to be 8 1/4 by 4 1/2. Now you may notice it says, or you can use US sizing here again. So in the base one, I showed you how to get the most out of 8 1/2 inch page, but A4 is 8 1/4. So rather than using a whole sheet for this, I just got a little tip for here. But if you've got US cardstock, this will be 8 1/2 by 4 1/2. And then it says 2, but you can do as many as you want. Not too much, otherwise it just gets silly. We're going to cut these as 6 1/4 by 4 3/4. So this is 2 is a minimum. 4 3/4. 4 3/4. So if I wanted to do, I could do another one out of that sheet I had here. In fact, should we do it? Let's do it. 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. There we go. So we've used 2 sheets of it, my A4 here now. Okay, now I want my score to put. So let's start with that vertical pocket. So the vertical pocket, we're going to put the scoring 8 1/4 on top. So it's that way. And we're going to score at 3/8. Now, if you're using a US, you can do your regular 1/2 inch. But this is how I'm getting most out of my A4, is by just reducing this flap by that, just that little 1/8. So we've got 3/8. Turn it around, and with a 4 1/2 on top, I'm going to score at 1/2. So that's my vertical pocket done. And then each of these with 4 3/4 on top, we're going to score 4 1/4. This means by scoring the 4 1/4, I'm ensuring that the main part are all the same size, just in case I've cut this at a different fraction less or fraction more. This will now just make everything even. And now I'm going to grab my strong tape and I'm going to place some tape inside my score lines. Now, because this is a 3/8, I am going to use my slimmer tape, but it will fit. My wider one will fit. It just makes my job a little bit easier. So if you've got the thin tape, use that. And then each of these photo mats, we're just going to place a piece of my double-sided tape down that 1/2 inch score. Okay. And then with my pocket, I'm just going to cut towards the corner and cut up across. So I'm going to cut towards it. Instead of going straight across, I'm just going to angle just slightly, just so that the two bits don't meet when I fold over. You've seen me do that plenty of times in my other videos. And we're just going to score and burnish. Not a score, we're just going to burnish. We're going to burnish these nice and flat. So don't be scared. Give it enough pressure. The flatter you make this, the better a finish your album is going to have. And then these three, we're just going to fold back. There we go. Okay, so we've got our 3 photo mats and our vertical pocket. So let's bring our album in. And this is page 1. So what I'm going to do now is just take off that long piece. And I find it easier just to turn my album around. And I'm going to place, oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to place it on the outer edge here. Just lift it up so I can line up the corners and press it down. And then just take off the 2 side ones. And iron it down. So what I've got now is this nice deep vertical pocket. And now I've got my photo mats, which are going to go on the left hand side. So let's have a look at the photo mat is there, and it's 1 1/4 difference. So what I can do is 1 1/4, half is 5/8. So 4 5/8. That would be the center. So now when I align this, if I go between those 2 pencil lines, it's going to be nice and centered. So let's open it up. Let's take just the 2 corners off for now. There we go. And again, I find it easier just to rotate my album. I'm going to go up against that spine. So it's the edge of my page, and line it between my 2 pencil lines. And then just peel it out. So now I've got that one nice and centered on my page, which I bought a piece of white cardboard to show you. There we go. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. You can see the page. We've got our vertical pocket and we've got a flap here. And what we're going to do, I'm going to just taper the ends off these, just to give a neater finish again. Again, just take off the 2 corner pieces. So just expose a little bit. Turn it around, and we're going to try and get this as neatly over the first one as I can. There we go. And press down. And again, the third one, taper the edge. Remove just the top part. Fold them back and place them on top. So these are now 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. which is perfect for our 6x4 photos. So I'm not actually going to cover the inside with papers because your photos are going to go straight on. So there we go. And now, the exciting part, we're going to use our papers. Now, I love that one. That actually might have to be used straight away, but it depends on my journal card. Let's have a look. Where is my journal card paper? Here we are. So, I'm using a Graphic 45 kit, which has these 6x4 vertical journal cards to decorate my flaps nice and easy. So let's bring in my trimmer. But if you haven't got 6x4 journal cards, it doesn't matter because you can just cut a 4-inch and then cut into 4x6 from your 12x12 papers, and just use that and use your ephemera or whatever you've got then to decorate it. It's still quite cost effective and economical with your papers, but having these just makes my life so much easier. So I'm thinking this blossom one might actually be used straight away because it does go with that paper I liked at the start. I also like this one though. But I think having a text on page 1 is quite a nice way to go. And I still got my 3x4s, which I need to cut for later. Are we going to stick with this? Let's go with this. Right. So now I've got my papers. My base page is 7.5, which means I'm going to take 7.25 inch off the bottom. 7.25. Keep this. Turn it around. And our pages are 5.5. So I'm going to use this at 5.25. And 5.25. So this might go on the back page with me. Now this piece will not be waste. I'm going to use this in my photo mats in the middle. So every one of these bits I'm cutting off, and one of these bits I'm going to be using later on. So they're not waste at all. This I'm going to keep for my last page because I'm going to trim off, make it match, the inside covers. Now I'm just going to trim off that name bit and turn this around, and I'm going to cut it as 6. So this is the waste from the top, but as I said before, it's not actually waste. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it in a second. Once I find my distress ink, which I moved out of the way so I didn't get it over everything, and now I can't find. And I've got enough ink left over for now on my pages. I'm just going to ink with my black soot distress ink just to get rid of that white edge on both of these. And on my 6x4 journal card. So if you've got a Graphic 45 kit, which years ago came with the journal cards, you could use those journal cards for sure here and save yourself even more time. I found it. And with these two bits, whilst I got the ink out, let's just ink the top and the two sides. I don't need to bother with the bottom, which you'll see why in a second. Okay. Let's cover that before I do get ink everywhere. Let's bring this in. Now, there's one more cut I do need to do, and that is for my vertical pocket. So my vertical pocket was 4 inches, which means if I go down 1/4 inch, bear in mind I want this piece to be my 3 3/4. So I'm going to turn that over 4 inches, down 1/4, and trim. So now that's going to go on the inside, that's going to go on the outside. So I've got a new exposed cut here, so I'm going to ink it quickly. And I've got a choice now. I can glue it down and have my pattern repeat, or I can flip it over and have an alternative. I think I quite like the pattern repeating, so let's stick that down. So let's glue that in place. And then glue this in place. So I do like this paper, so I think it's nice just to keep it going. There we go. So you can see how it's now just looking like one piece of paper. There we go. And then close this. I'm going to use my 6x4 journal card to go here. And then you can decide, do you want, well, that would have been nice on the inside, but I'm not wasting a journal card to use that paper. You can decide if you want to leave it flapping, or if you want to attach a closure, or it's a magnet closure or anything. So make sure, if you are going to do a closure, that you do it, if need be, before sticking the papers down. But I might go for my usual swivel dies, which I like using because they can be attached afterwards, and just swivel down to close it. So that is page 1. Now, if I remember correctly, is this? No. Oh no, these don't match, do they? Because they came from the top. They would have matched there, wouldn't it? So I'm going to use this now. So the reason this pocket I said was this size is any less, and I wouldn't have been able to use that. But because I've measured that pocket to that size, I can now tie in my inside page to my first and last pages. So my cover really does tie in with my album. So stick that down, get my scoring tool, my bone folder, sorry, and stick that down. And I've also got the piece as well, haven't I, for the back. So again, take the glue around the edge. Add some glue to the middle. I'm going to place it inside. And the backs of all my signature pages, I was actually going to keep plain. Just stick it down. And the reason being is my page is now 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, which means you can fit a 5x7 photo straight on there, or a 6x4. The proportions are correct, and it just means you still see your paper. So for today, for International Scrapbooking Day, we're keeping it nice and easy. So I could have used my Cool Cats photo slots here if I wanted to, but just for time today, because we're trying to do an album in a day, I'm just going to stick it straight down. And look at that, that's all tied in nicely using the same paper. So that is page 1. So now let's bring back my scoring and cutting guide, and let's move on to page 2. So these are stacked horizontal pockets. So let's have a look if I've got my practice one. So they're just 2 pockets, straight pockets, come in like so. So we can tuck in lots and lots of things into it. Let's bring back my trimmer. So 5 1/4 by 6 1/2 and 3 by 6 1/2. So 5, 6, 7, yes, so it's 8 1/4. If I turn it this way, I can get, and same with the, your US papers, you can get both of these. So we're going to cut it at 6 1/2. Turn it around, and if I cut my 5 1/4 off, that should leave me with my 3-inch. So you can see I really do think about how to get the most out of our papers. Let's bring in my score tool, and I'm going to ignore the scoring guides. It says 6 1/2 on top. Basically it's down the 2 short edges at 1/2 inch and down the long edge at 1/2 inch. And the same here, down the long edge at 1/2 and down the 2 shorter edges at 1/2. So let's take my tape then, just as we did with that vertical pocket. Even though these are horizontal, the idea is exactly the same. We take our tape in between those 1/2 inch score lines. And then we're just going to trim off the corners. Cutting, angle, cut, angle, cut, an angle, and cut, an angle. So we've got a small one and a large one. So again, nice harsh burnishing. Burnish that down. Burnish that down with enough pressure to try and get it as flat as we can. And the bottom. There we go. So still a bit pronounced, so I'm going to put even more pressure. Just keep on pressing down until you get them nice and flat. There we go. And I'm going to place the bottom one onto the bottom of this pocket. Take it off and press it up. And then page 1, page 2, I'm just going to attach it to the bottom of the page. And because I was keeping the backs of each of the signatures flat with just a single piece, it meant I was able to add extra height and thickness and more pockets onto the front of each page. Here we go. So we've got our stacked pockets. So let's have a look now at what paper we're going to use. So we've been through that one. So we're going to look for something which is going to tie in with that. This is going to be quite nice because I can use that on the back. Or should we bring in, no, not that one. Oh, a bit of green. Yes, let's go with this one. So again, I'm going to be cutting this at 7 1/4 tall. So I'm taking it off the bottom. 7 1/4 by 5 1/4. So 5 1/4. So that piece will go onto the back of the previous one, and this is going to go to this one, and this is going to be kept for the inside, which you'll see later. Right there. So this pocket is 2 1/2, which means I want to cut from the bottom 2 1/4. So that's going to go there, and then this pocket is 2 1/4. So let's have a look. So I'm going to cut my paper at, yeah, 2 1/4. So I can have my pattern continuing, or in this case, I may just flip it over, or should I keep that in the middle? Keep those two. Let's have a little play. So, are we going to go lots of stripes? But we are going blossom. I think what we could do is that. I think we'll go with that. So now I know what I'm doing. I'm going to ink the top and sides of that one and this one. I'm going to have to get it so the stripes line up, aren't I? Yeah, I think having those stripes will give a nice break for the eye, and it means when I put my things in, I can use busier things for, oh, and I haven't inked this bit yet. So let's take this big piece down first. And place that on, and there'll be a bit of pattern continuation here between the left and the right because this has come off the bottom there. So I'm going to cover my pocket, and now I've got a line which I can follow up on each side. So that's why I always put this one down, so I've got my guide going up. So I'm going to tuck that inside the pocket. So you've got a little bit of an overlap. There we go. And then this one, is going to go here. So we've got that pattern continuing, the stripes are going down evenly. So you've got a nice deep pocket there and a nice shallow pocket there. And of course, we can now add some of the journal cards. You could cut the 3x4 and put it there. You can make some fun photo mats or stickers or ephemera, whatever you've got in your collection. So there we go. We've got page 1. We've got page 2. Now, this scrap piece here, if you like it, you can now use that to line both pockets. I'm not quite sure. I'll see what comes up later on. If I've got something a little plainer, maybe, because I'm already thinking that might be what I'm using there, just to break it up a little bit. So there we go. So we've now done page 1 and page 2. So I'll just get everything ready for page 3 next. Okay, so back to the cutting and scoring guide. And idea 3, if we look in my practice run, is a flip book. Again, like page 1, but instead of a vertical, we're going for a horizontal pocket this time across the bottom. So let's get going with this. So again, a couple of sheets of my cardstock. So 2 or 3. 6 3/4 by 4 1/4. So let's cut the 4 1/4 up. So I've got 2 pieces here. And another one, 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. Because this time the 1/2 inch hinge is going to be on the top. So 6 3/4. So I got all 3 here. So I'm just cutting and then removing. So those are my 3. So it says 2 here, but I'm going for 3. And then 6 1/2. sorry, yeah, 6.5, no, 6 3/4. What am I doing? This is, I've done that one. 3 1/4 by 6.5. 3 1/4 by 6 1/2. Now I'm wondering if, yeah, if I wanted to do another, no, I haven't quite got enough. Right, let's grab the scoreboard. Let's do the pocket first because it's easy. Again, both short and one long. And then with my photo mats, 6 3/4 on top, a score of 6 1/4 means all of my photo mats will be the same size, even if I cut them slightly different, which I shouldn't have because I cut them together. Okay. And again, we're going to take our tape and place it inside each of my 1/2 inch score lines. And with my pocket, just like we did before, inside all 3 of my score lines. Avoiding the corner because we don't need that because we're going to cut it off. So it just saves a bit of your tape. There we go. And if I remember correctly, last time we just trimmed off, might did the tops of 2 of these. So we kept the bottom one flat. There we go. So that'll be the one I stick down first. Okay. So let's bring in our Blossom album. Page 1, page 2, page 3. There we go. So scoring and getting these nice and flat again. Finished it the wrong way. There we go. If I done it here as well. Nope, that's right. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. So I'll do what I have had a piece of white paper all along, haven't I? There we go. There's my page. So let's take off the bottom and stick it to the bottom of that page. And again, if I wanted to create that ramp, I could put a piece of tape over there. But because I'm generally going to be putting my 6x4 photos in there, I've got enough space not to worry about that too much. And then the one I haven't mitered is going to go down first, and I've got a spare 1.25 inch, which means again it's 1, 2, half, 5/8 that side, and half, 5/8 this side. That'll give me the center, yes. So let's take this off. I should have taken a bit off and then a bit more, but oops, there we go. So we've now got that flap in the middle and a horizontal pocket on the bottom. And we're now going to just take off a little bit off each corner. Not it all off in one go. I'm going to line it up so it lies flat on my base one. And again, each of these will hold a 6x4 photo. So we're adding quite a bit of photo space here just by piling these on. But without actually using any more of our cardstock. Not cardstock, our decorative paper. So now you can see we've got a flip book here. And again, I could put some swivel dies if I want to at the end by there to keep it down. Let's go a 6x4 journal card, or as before, if you haven't got a journal card, just take one sheet of your 12 by 12, cut a 4-inch strip down the middle and cut in half at 6, and you'll have one for here and one for the front, and then just decorate it from there. So let's have our 6x4 journal card on first, and now I'm finding a paper, so that one ties in, so it's bringing in that one. Because I'm going to be flipping, this one's got the 6. Yes, and I know I want to use that as well, so definitely need to use this page. Right, so again, as we did with every other one, it's going to be 7 1/4. Let's just move that to the side for now. So 7 1/4, so I'm going to take it off the bottom again. Seven 1/4 by, was it 5 1/4? Yes, 5 1/4 and 5 1/4. And again, I'm keeping that for the insides for later on. Oh, and while I've got this, my front cover pockets, they are now 3 1/4, which means I'm going to cut this at 3 inches. And again, I'll be using this top strip on the insides when I come to show you later, by 6. So you can see how this has been designed to use up leftover bits from one sheet for another sheet. I'm just wondering if I'm actually going to be able to get this whole album covered using just half of my G45 pad. Do you think I don't know. It wasn't a plan, but how awesome would that be if I could actually make 2 of these from one pad? So that's my pockets for my inside page. So I can put it aside for a second. Oh, and my page pocket this time is 2 3/4. So I'm going to cut 2 1/2 off the bottom of this. 2 1/2. So I think, let's have a look. Are we going to go green and floral with too much better? So I think that's it. That worked out quite nicely. And then just ink this one. And the front. And the front of this pocket. And as always, I'm going to start gluing with the pocket, so I've got something to line up all 4 edges. Tuck that in. And again, I'm not going to bother decorating the inside of all those flaps here because they'll just fit 6x4 photos straight on. There we go. And as I got these are going to go on the inside cover, and the back cover. I nearly put it on upside down. And just iron that one down. Okay, so now we have idea 1, idea 2, and idea 3 all complete. We've just got idea 4 to go. So let's have a look at idea 4 in my cutting guide. I only need the one piece, I think, for this. We're going to do stacked triangular pockets this time. So we're going to do a 6.5-inch square. So 6.5 by 6.5. And scoring a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. It's a nice easy one. So 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch. And I'm going to put my tape inside all those it's score guide, 1/2 inch scores, and again just miter all 4 of them. And this time, before we stick it down and burnish and everything, we are going to bring our trimmer back, and I'm going to cut it in half, just lining up those diagonals, those corners, in half. And we now have 2 triangular pockets, which we're going to just fold back and burnish. Fold back, and burnish, fold back and burnish, and fold back and burnish. So we're doing both of the pockets at the same time here. And you can stick these down whichever direction you want, but remembering the first one you stick down will be in the background and the second one will be in the foreground. So I think I'm going to put my left one down first. So I'm attaching that to the left hand side of my page 4. Taking off the back. And now I'm going to attach this one again across the bottom by lining that straight line with the right hand side. So what we've got is some diagonal triangles layered on top of each other. So we've created 2 pockets, but they stop at the same height. So now I think this is our last choice, isn't it? Okay, let's have a look. So we've got those green and irises. So we haven't used this one yet. And we haven't used this one. Are we going? Let's go floral and blue, because the blues will come back in there. Yeah, let's go floral and blue. And again, 7.25 inches tall by 5.25 will be our base page. 7.25, 5.25, and 5.25. Again, this is going to come in useful later on. Okay. So let's stick the left one into place straight away. Get it out of the way. go. And then this one is going to go here, but we're going to have to do a little bit of mastery first. So what I'm going to do is, this is where it would go if it's matted and layered as a rectangle on a base page like that. So what I'm going to do is take it up almost to the top, and I'm going to mark where my triangle starts there and ends in that corner. And again, that's where my triangle pocket is. It's there. So I'm going to be cutting from there to there, and then I can cut from there down, but I'll show you what I'm going to do here first. Okay, so placing that in the channel. Of course I can't find it now. Here we are, it's here. Once it's upside down, I can't seem to find it. There we go. So we've gone, so now this is going to fit onto that bottom triangle, but I still need this piece for a second because I need to line it up with that second one with that point back in the channel. Now I can remove it and cut, and that's giving me that other piece, but still with the pattern. How are we gonna, I wish I'd moved now. There we go. So let's ink this one. And ink this triangle. So I could do it as a complete pattern continuation, or for a bit of fun, let's flip this one over. And I don't need to do the diagonals here because they're going to be hidden underneath our pockets. There we go. So how am I going to mat and lay these? So I'm going to start with a big triangle. Making sure I get those two corners, otherwise it's going to lift. And that's going to fit in nicely there. Then this triangle, make sure I get it right into those two fine tip corners of the triangle there. Turn it around. And let's okay, there. So you've got that pattern continuation. And then this time we're going to turn, because that point is in the middle, you are able to flip this piece. I'm thinking maybe I should have used this blue over there. Never mind. I got enough paper to make a second one, I think. Ooh, that's not very straight when you pull. Come on. Just in time. Let's re-glue that. That's better. There we go. And now I can burnish it down. I'm happy. So we've got our diagonal stacked pockets there. So you might think, great, but we've just got all these black spaces. So these are meant to be black. They are our 6x4 photos. We open up, we've got 2 black pages. Open this one, we've got 2 black pages and 2 black pages. I said that these scrap bits were going to come in handy. So what we're going to do is turn these into 6x4 photo mats. So I've got some plain white cardstock just to save on my pattern papers. You could use your patterns and solids if you have some. I haven't got pattern solids for this kit, otherwise I may have used them. But I'm going to cut some photo mats which are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. 6 1/4 by 4 1.25. So our 6x4 photos will then fit into this with a nice border. Okay. Now these pieces here are 7.25 tall already. But what we need is some 6x4s. So let's cut this at 4.25. That's it. And I'll come back to this in a second. Let's bring the album back in. So what I'm going to do, I want to keep my pattern paper down this side here. And I'm going to place a 6x4 photo here. So you can see this is too wide at the moment. So if I can find my ruler, here we are, this side. My page is 5.25. Now I need 4.25 for a photo mat, 1/4 inch left over then for the black border around the edge when we cut things down, which means 3.25 is what 3/4 is what I need to finish off this edge. So let's bring this back in, and if I cut this in half, it'll give me 2 3/4 inch. Now I've got my low tack tape, so I'm wondering if I can use some of this, just this black stuff just in the corner so that it doesn't move. This is a gamble. There we go. Right. There we go. I've now got a piece which will stick in place there, and a piece to go on the other side as well. And then the top, so I've got that much, let's have a look, is 1 inch. So I'm going to cut a few of these at 1 inch now. One, and one. Again, I've still got plenty more of those papers which I can do this with. So let's just do some inking. So I've got that one done. And that one. So those then go together like a patchwork, and I'm going to place that one down the middle, not down the middle, down the side, sorry, in the middle of the page. And do that one there, and bring that to there. So the reason I was going to put this one here was, originally I did have the idea of using my envelope punch board to make a notch out of just the top one, but truth be told, I started a tour and started filming and I totally forgot that's what I was going to do. So if you wanted to do that, make sure you put a notch in the middle of that as well. So when you see one of my samples, you will notice that it does have a notch in it. And why hasn't this one? Old age. So we're going to line this up. So I think I'm going to change it to 3/4 inch. because I just realised I haven't got. Let's put this at the bottom. So this is now going to go here. Actually, I think these were going to be inch long. Let me remove that quickly. Ignore that. Let's make it an inch. So you're not going to get 2 out of each one. Originally, I was going to have that little black border, but I'm deciding against it now. But, you know, it's your... It's your album. You make it what you want. Let's have a look. Does look better with an inch. Yes, it does. It looks much better with an inch, doesn't it? So let's use this now to finish it off. And then I would do the same now. Here. Now, because these florals are pretty non-directional, I can take an inch out of this, which again is just one of my pieces left over from covering the pages, and it's 7 1/4. Ooh, let's have more of the blue. 7 1/4. Stick this down there. And that is how we then decorate the inside of every flap. So it's just, again, a repeating thing, so I don't need to show you again. It's a 6 1/4 inch by 4 1/4 inch photo mat of white, or your pattern is solid, a 1 inch by 4 1/4 here, and a 1 inch by 7 1/4 here. And it's just cut and glue all the way around. And then of course you could go with your pen and add some faux stitching around the edge. You've got plenty of scraps left over as well that you can make photo mats to go inside your pouch pockets. Oh, it's not there, it's here, of course it is in there. And of course I do have one piece left to do, which is my front cover. But of course, then that is totally up to you what you do. You're just going to be able to take one of your patterns and you're going to cut it at 7 3/4 by 6 inches. If you have a non-directional on one side, like this could be, that would then be enough to do your spine as well. So you can cover your outside using just one sheet of 12 by 12 as well. Now, I haven't used this one yet. That's pretty non-directional. So that could be what I use there, with possibly a journal card and some fussy cutting. Who knows what the front will be. But if you've probably seen the finished product, for me, because there will have been a walkthrough beforehand of the finished product. So this is as far as I'm going to go in the tutorial. So as I said, you can get your PDF cutting guide by joining my Facebook group called Paper Crafting with Paul. Link in description below. go to the file section, you can download this, and as I said, you can choose idea 1, 2, 3, or 4. You can just keep doing the same one over and over again, or you can follow exactly as I've done. Up to you totally. And I'm sure there'll be a few more finishing touches done, some swivel closures, some tags, some more tuck spots by the end of this. So hopefully you've enjoyed my International Scrapbooking Day project this year. So the third year I've done it, and the last 2 have been quite popular. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you make with this base this year. So thank you for watching. If you do have a go, make sure you join my Facebook group, Paper Crafting with Paul, to share some photos as well. And please support the channel as well with some thumbs up and some comments. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for some notifications of future projects. So thank you for watching. Enjoy International Scrapbooking Day, and I'll see you all again soon.